Hi. I'm going to eat my lunch a little bit while everybody connects. So don't mind me. I have yogurt. If you saw my stories, I was shoveling salad into my gob. So, hi. I'm just going to eat a little bit more lunch. So don't mind me. I'm going to just let some people connect first. I'm also going to set up my desk because it's a bit of a mess. And I've just realized I've misplaced the pattern itself, which is kind of funny, probably. I've got so many papers on my desk. So I might do that instead of eating. I'll find the pattern. I have it here somewhere. I might just print it again. Let's do that. Because the first thing we have to do is mark up our our fabric. Oh my gosh. And I have my printer just up there. So I'm just going to print it for myself again because I'm totally ready, apparently. Print. I want page 3. Oops. Bang. Okay. We have 4 people. We have got people jumping in and out. That's awesome. I will eventually change my camera so that it's looking down. I just wanted to be able to see who's coming and don't mind my split lip. The air's very dry at the moment. Come on, printer. Okay, so I have the pattern now. So I'm as ready as you guys now. We've got my hoop and my fabric and my floss. Oh yeah, I'll wait until 5 minutes past and I'll have some more yogurt. I'm trying to make it so that I can see the stream on my computer so that I can watch the chat. And keep an eye on any questions because I will move my camera so that it's looking down. There's a little bit of a delay. I apologize. All right, that'll do. So if you're here, say hi in the comments. We're going to start off with putting our design on the fabric. I didn't want to assume that everyone would do that first. And the best way to do this, if you don't have a light box, I'm going to be using a light box so I don't have to actually go and do what I'm suggesting, is to go up to a window and trace it that way so that you can't see it like that. But yeah, for the sake of everyone seeing what I'm doing, I'm going to be using my awesome little light box. Let me know if you can't hear me. Anyway, just making sure that works. Oops. Just seeing who we've got. We've got myself, apparently. 7 people. All right, well, it's 5 past, so I'm going to move my phone so that you guys can see what I'm doing, and I just need to readjust it to get it in the right spot. So, bye. Out of the way. How are we looking? So welcome to Simply Florals Stitch Along. This is my first stitch along. I'm totally not nervous or anything like that. The first thing we're going to do, as I said, is we're going to put our design on fabric. I might just wiggle that cable out of the way so it's not in your vision. What else have we got? Get some other stuff out of the way. What's that? My water bottle. Okay, that's fine. You guys can see the corner of my water bottle. Anyway, before I start, if you have any questions, just write them out in the chat. That's not a problem. There is a little bit of a delay between me talking and me seeing what you're saying. So don't think that I'm ignoring you or anything like that. But let's get started. So yes, first we're going to get our embroidery hoop. We're going to get our fabric that we've got. I'm using quilter's fabric and I'm doubling it up. So I've got 2 of it, just so that, where's my finished piece? You can see it if I do this, you can kind of see the thread through it, but if I turn this off, you can't see it just by looking at the piece itself. So I recommend either a thicker fabric or doubling it up. Just makes it look a bit nicer when you go to hang it up. Alright, so we want our fabric nice and tight. I always have trouble with this bit. You want it to sound like a drum. I don't have a screwdriver, so I'm just going to do it by hand. Alright. Didn't think of that. Normally I would cut out the circle and put it in here. So scratch that. I'm going to take it out now. I will put it in once I've done the tracing. So, anyway, I can kind of see where the circle is. We want to go in the very center of our material and we're going to get our marker. I just have a water erasable pen. I also have this heat friction pen, this one here, which I'm a bit nervous about using, to be honest. I haven't used it yet. I'm not going to use it today. I'm going to practice on a spare sheet of fabric, just for playing around and making sure that it doesn't ghost or anything like that. So for today I'm going to use a water erasable pen, and we want to make sure that we don't move the pattern around our fabric. We want to keep it in the center. And I'm just going to do it pretty quickly so that you guys don't have to just watch me do this, because it's kind of boring. I'm not going to do all of it either, because I kind of know the pattern inside and out now. I'm stitching it once already and designing the pattern itself, and it's all pretty self-explanatory for me. But if you want to do it, all the little circles and stuff, you can. Those circles are purely just to help you know which stitch is which, really. So we're not necessarily going to follow these circles in the middle. They're just, yeah, to indicate which stitch is which, if you were to glance quickly at it. I think this pen's starting to run out of ink. That's not great. I've got another one, so it's not a big deal. So again, I'm not turning the fabric on its own, I'm turning the piece of paper underneath it as well. But I want to get this done quickly so that we can get some stitching done. Because I don't want today to just be tracing a pattern. That's not very exciting. Okay, that's like half of it done already. I'm just running my hands over it to flatten it out a bit so that I can see where I'm tracing better. Oh, and excuse my kids if they decide to join us. They like to interrupt a lot, especially my eldest. My eldest is special needs. She doesn't necessarily understand why I'm doing the things that I'm doing. And just, if she wants to talk to Mum, she wants to come and talk to me, and it doesn't matter what I'm doing. That's okay. Tomorrow's session will be likely featuring them in it because I don't have any help. There we go. I have gotten it all done. Just double checking before I lift it off. Cool. Alright, so now, don't worry if you're not caught up with me just yet. If you're still tracing, that's fine. We're going to be... I'm going to put it back in the hoop now that I'm ready. Ha! Oh, yeah, that's fine. I don't need that now. So, as you can see, we've got our pattern. I'm going to put it in the middle of the frame. And again, I don't have a screwdriver, so I'm just going to do it by hand. Just tightening it by hand. Lovely. Let's get this out of the way now. Okay, so as I was saying, we're going to start by doing the greenery, which is, I know it's kind of boring, and I know a lot of you are excited about this middle flower, but that is unfortunately going to be the last thing that we do, because it is going to sit a lot nicer than what you see here, because this was my practice stitch, and I'm very glad I did this because I discovered just how easy it is to get your needle in all these little loops and catch them and pull them, and you're gonna find that if you do this last, it's gonna look a lot neater than what you see my final piece of. So first we're going to grab, what should we do first? First, we're going to do these little, I probably should have considered this a bit more. All I knew was that this was going to be last. We're going to do some stem stitch. I'm just going to bring up my pattern on my computer again. No, that's fine. I was gonna turn the phone around, but because it's kind of sideways for you guys, but that's fine the way it is. Let me know if you are live, awesome. And if you've got any questions, let me know. It's getting closer actually, and so I'm actually going to probably move it back again. I've got my little hoop stand. keep it steady. Would have needed to have moved this anyway. What's going on? Sorry, my hoop stand is busted. Oh, there we go. I haven't used these hoops in this stand before. They're a lot thinner than my usual hoop. I'm sorry, this is not very entertaining. Okay. That's not great. I might just need to grab something to thicken this up. Come on, what is going on? Sorry, guys. What's happening? Okay. Let's try that. I think one of my kids has been playing with this. There we go. That's better. Alright. Where are we at? Okay. Lovely. Anyway, now that that's all done, I'm just peering at my phone screen to make sure that you guys can see it properly. Anyway, we are going to start. Where's my needle? We're going to start with these leafy pieces. I'm going to get a needle minder as well, actually. What should we use? I'm going to use my little fox, my cross-stitching fox. Seems appropriate. So, we're going to have DMC 3051. And for this one, we're going to use only 4 strands, which I actually think I have here already. I do. That's helpful. So, we're going to do, I believe, is called a quilter's knot. We're going to hold our thread like so on our needle. We're going to wind it around at least 3 times. Pinch it in between your fingers so it looks like this. We're going to pinch it with the little tail bit here. We're going to push our needle through and pull it all the way through, so we're going to make a lovely knot on the end. And that's how we're going to start. Alright, which way are we going to go first? We're going to go, we want to do, I don't know inches, so I'm sorry, but we're going to do like a centimetre apart. And then come up in the middle. We want to keep our thread, the tail of our thread, down to do a stem stitch. But basically we're just, it's like a fancy back stitch, basically. and it's twice as thick because we're not just coming up and down in the same spots. So we're not just coming up here and then here and then here. We're overlapping. And then at the end, we just want to go back in the same spot. And then we're going to start back down here again. And then go up for this little branch. So we want it down. Can't remember what it's called if you actually keep. Technically this, even though to me it's the same stitch. Can you zoom in a little more? I do need to switch. No, I can zoom in more. Thank you. Alright, how's that? Oops. We've got a knot on the back. No, just doesn't want to come through. Oh, see, I went on the wrong side that time. As I was saying, it's technically a different stitch name if you keep the thread up here. I don't really know why. I don't remember what the stitch name is called. But yeah, we want to do, apart from the first one, we want to do the stitches like every 2 centimeters apart. So each little bit, like between here and where it's come up now, is about 1 centimeter. But we want to do 2 between where we come up and where we go back in. And yeah, don't ask me to convert that into inches. I'm so bad. Even though I've been living in America for 5 years now, I'm so bad at the imperial system. I even still have my GPS in my car set up to tell me kilometers and stuff. So I don't know if you've been following me for very long, or if you've just started following me for my new embroidery stuff, but I mostly do cross-stitching stuff. So this is my very first embroidery pattern that I've made and released. So I've been very excited about it. But I have been doing embroidery for a long time. Cool. So that's a little leafy stem stitch that we've got there. Now, some people would carry on the back to start over here or down here, whichever you prefer. But I am not a fan of that, so I am going to flip it over. And unfortunately, my hoop doesn't sit flat on this way, so you're just going to have to bear with me. But basically, I'm just going to do a little whip stitch on the back, which hopefully you can see that. I'm just going to carry the thread, oh come on, I'm going to carry the thread through these, what look like a little back stitch on the back, quite a fair way. And then before pulling through on this one, I'm going to do a little knot and then do another knot on the next one just to tie it off. And then we'll grab some scissors and just go snip. Alright, so we're going to do another quilter's knot. Now we're going to get another bit of thread first. Because that is not enough. That's only 2 strands. Come on. So we want to get a fair length of it. I've done about an arm's length. That's what I like to do. So I just like stretch my arm out and go from hand to shoulder for length. And then we're going to only do 4 strands. So I'm going to pull out 2. And I'm going to make a mess. I'm just going to leave them there. So now we've got our 4 little strands from our 6-stranded DMC. If you're using another brand, that's up to you to work out how thick you want it. I purely use DMC just because I trust it, and I like the colors, and I like that it's color fast and everything. So we're gonna do our little quilter's knot again. So we're gonna come back. We're gonna put it on our finger. We're gonna hold the tail at 1, 2, 3 at least. Pinch it in between your fingers, pull it through. You might need to wiggle the needle to get it to come through, and then hold it tight to make our little knot on the end. And then we're just going to do another one. Oh, what's going on there? I think I grabbed the knot on the back. I did. Hold on. Okay. Pulled it through the knot. Anyway, we are set again. Just looked at the stream and it's not a great angle. Me trying to fix that just then. So remember, we want to keep this bit of the thread out of the way in the same direction for every one of these. Otherwise, it's going to look very messy. And yeah, if you're finding that it does look strange, then that is your likely culprit. You might want to also let your thread hang. I don't really have space with my setup right now, but I'm not having trouble. You might want to let it hang and unwind if it does look a bit strange. But otherwise you should have this nice little, oh, we've got a rogue thread there. That's okay, I can fix that. Some things like that are an easy fix just when you're actually washing the piece itself. Alright, and now that that's the end of that, I'm just going to go back in that hole. Now on the back, I'm going to try and make it so that you can see this. Because we've come so far, I don't really want to do this thing again, if you can see that. So I'm just going to, I like to try and hide my work as much as possible. So we're just going to follow this a bit so that our back is nice and neat. And that way we're all the way back at the start to do this next one. We want to come up really close to the previous one so that it looks like they're attached, basically. You gotta love some embroidery ASMR as well. Just that sound of it pulling through the fabric. Just me? Or is anyone else like that? Well, that one was a little small of a gap, but that's okay. We've got, I'm caught at that time. We had one of the 4 strands sitting out a bit, so I'm gonna unwind it manually, my thread, and just run my finger along it so that all the strands are the same length. Alright, and then we're going to go back into that same hole. That's the next one. And then we're going to do this last one, so I'm going to flip it over again and I'm going to do the same tie off that I did with the other one. I'll try and make it so that you guys can see again. So we want to carry through at least 3 of these. There's no like hard and fast rule, but we've got our loop laying this way, so we want to come in the back to do our little knot, our first knot, and then we want to do the same thing with this one, just so that it's nice and secure. And snip. I love the sound, yeah. It doesn't happen with Aida fabric as much, so it's nice when you're doing it with embroidery. Alright, we're going to do our quilter's knot again. Hopefully you guys can see it. So we're going to hold the tail, wrap 1, 2, 3. We're going to pinch all of that wrapped around the needle and just pull it through. So we get our perfect little knot. Alright, and this one I'm actually going to start back here. So this flower, I'll just explain why. This flower, if I was to lift it up, you can actually see the 2 stems there. And it just kind of avoids that sort of thing happening if you sort of start off the pattern a bit. When you know what the pattern is going to ask for, which you do because you can see the pattern itself, then I highly encourage that kind of thing. Just like a little, what's the word? It's just covering your butt, I guess. This one is just the wrong length, so I'm not going to go back in here. I'm going to go just here for this one, and that still looks nice. So I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to carry the thread through again. Whoops. So I'm just going to go like here, and that just hides the thread. Oh, I didn't pull that through very well. That's okay. It's not a problem. Alright, next one, I'm going to start in the same spot. And just remember to keep this thread being held in the same direction every stitch. Technically, I should be doing it this way based on this one that I did, but that is like such a minor thing. I would rather all the ones that are connected with each other, sit in the same direction than making sure that every single stem stitch faces the right way. I feel like that's just kind of setting you up for failure if you are worried about, oh, we've got the fabric being caught on the back. Do we? What's going on? We have a knot. There we go. Oh, I had a knot. I'm going to just unwind my thread again. There we go. Okay. Crisis averted. I think before tomorrow's session I'm going to do some trimming of all this stuff, because it's kind of bothering me a little bit on the back. So for the once that we're done with this one, we're going to do the rest of the stem stitches, which is these cute little ones, and then I'll see what the time is, but likely we'll leave it there. I don't want to do too much each time, especially given this middle flower. That one is probably going to be homework, because I don't think I'll be able to stream, at least not in one sitting, me doing all of that. And it's not a very big piece, so I'd like to drag it out a little bit. Alright. So that's our last one of that colour. We're going to flip it over and we're going to, do you hold your floss a certain way depending on what direction the line curves? No, I don't really worry about that. You can kind of see with this one, it sort of doesn't overlap on itself. The main thing to make sure is that you are, what am I trying to say? You're holding the floss in the same direction for the entire line of the stem stitch. You can kind of understand this curve. It would look nicer if it was sitting the other way, but then this one wouldn't work, because this one would sit like the wrong direction, if that makes sense. Yeah, I say the main thing to worry about is that you have the floss sitting on the same direction for the entire stitch. You definitely don't want to be swapping that, because it won't look right. Okay, we're gonna tie off this one knot, and I'm just going to do a little extra knot on that one. Let's call it a safety knot. Anyway, snip. That's an entire colour done. I'm going to just quickly wind this back on my floss before I make too much of a mess, because I now have a bunch of little stragglers of this color, and I save as much as I can, and that is purely because I started cross-stitching while I lived in Australia, and the prices of floss in Australia are astronomical compared to the prices of floss in America. So I learned very quickly to save as much of my floss as possible, because otherwise it would become a very expensive hobby. Okay, so the next one we're going to do is the same. We're going to do the same stitch still. We're going to do these tiny little ones, which is in 642 DMC, and that one is 2 strands only. So I still have the same little snip of 2 strands from when I did my test stitch. So I've got my 2 strands. Just gonna thread it. We're gonna do our quilter's knot again. So that is, if you've missed it, we're gonna just hold the little tail there. 1, 2, 3. We might do 4 for this one at least, because it's only 2 strands. And then pinch it and pull it through. Yeah, we've only got 2 strands, so we want a little bit of a bigger knot to make sure it doesn't go through. And I didn't do this with my finished piece because I actually did the leaves first for this piece. We're going to do the same thing as what we did here, and we're going to start low to the pattern, because we can always, and we will, stitch over the top of the stem, and that way it won't look like it's broken, basically. So I'm making sure that I'm holding the floss down for this one still. And yeah, we're just gonna do what I liked to think is wattle. I actually don't think that that's a flower in America, to be honest. Wattle is very, very abundant in Australia, and it's just tiny little yellow balls as its flower. It's very cute, and it has it makes pollen go everywhere. So it's people who have allergies, it's like their worst nightmare. It's very pretty. I should do an Australian themed, like specifically Australian themed design, shouldn't I? Oops, missed. Come on, there we go. But don't worry, I have 3 more embroidery pattern designs already in the works. We just have to get through this one first. So don't worry. Ideas coming out the wazoo. Ah, isn't that cute? See, now if I just wiggle that up, that sits in the curve properly. So now I'm just gonna do 1 to carry it around the back nicely, and then we'll actually come up. No, I don't want to do that. That will look funny. I'm going to come up as close as possible. I got it. Every time I look up at my screen to see if the angle's right, it's delayed to show me what I'm doing before, and that was the carry through. So I can't see it properly. Gonna have to get some more floss for the next one. Stem stitch is Very simple but very effective stitch. I use this in some of the floral pieces that I do in my cross stitches because it's simple and it's very easy to, if you're doing it in a straight line, to make it flow properly and nicely because you've got all the Ada holes. But yeah, it's a simple stitch. We'll get into the harder stuff in a couple of days. So as you can see, I'm going up now, but I'm still holding my thread over to the same side. There we go. And we just wiggle it over. And that's a lovely little curve there. So because there is a leaf in this one, I am actually just going to come... Oh no, I don't have enough floss, do I? Oh no, I do. I do. Let's play floss chicken, ladies and gentlemen. Can you see that properly? Beep, beep. Yeah, we're going to move the phone. There we go. Okay. So again, I'm going to come up lower than what the pattern calls for, so that we can stitch over the top of it. I'm sorry if I keep getting a notification on my phone randomly, and it's making my phone stand vibrate my whole desk, so hopefully it's not making it go blurry for you when that does happen. I have to put my phone on mute next time. Just make sure it's not my husband pinging me. Saying, hey, your stream is making my meetings not work properly. Because yeah, that is a real thing that could happen. My stream could be interfering with his meetings and I could have to abort. Oh, this is going to be tight with this amount of floss. The other thing I just thought of that I recommend is making sure that you start your stem stitches where the branch would be like coming out of the tree. So don't like every time I'm starting again, I'll just pull this one through. Every time I'm starting again, I'm starting at the base of it. So like I didn't jump from here to over here and go down. And for this next one over here, I'm not going to jump from here to here and go down. I'm always going to start where the tree would naturally grow from. And I'm trying to figure out why I would do that. I feel like that's just asking for trouble to mess up accidentally, to hold the floss in the wrong position. That is not tight enough. There we go. Oh, this is a short little bit of floss. Let's do it. We can do it. No, I need to pull my thread through again. There we go. I should have done a new bit of floss. That's okay. I love that lots of people are joining in just to at least see how I'm doing. If you are there, say hi. I'm seeing a lot of new accounts or accounts that I wasn't actually expecting to see, and that's awesome. Actually, that was a bit long, so I'm just gonna come up and then go back into the tip of it. Oh, I did it. All right, so now I've got to be able to do a knot on the back with this tiny amount of floss. Oops. Yep, we lost it. This is what I do all the time with cross stitching. I play thread chicken. I'm pretty good at determining when I've got enough left. I'll toot my own horn about that. But sometimes doing the knot at the back, or tying off, or like, what am I trying to say? Finishing off the thread is tough. There we go. Okay. Let's snip that off. Stick it in our little Ort jar. If you don't know what an Ort jar is, it's an old ratty threads jar. That's what Ort stands for. And then this is my Ort jar for this year so far. And I always have a really tiny one because, as I've mentioned a few times now in the stream, I save as much thread as I can, and this one will get squished down for the entire year because it's only April, and technically if I like bunch it up, it's almost full. But yeah, let's get some more 642. Oh, I've already got 2 strands ready to go. We got 2 strands of floss. And let's do this last little bit here, and then we will wrap up for the day. 3, 4. Remembering that we are doing at least one extra wraparound for our quilter's knot, because this is only 2 strands. We don't want it to pull through the fabric by accident. And I'm going to start about here. And yeah, I'm going to still hold the thread down, even though if we were thinking about it as a circle, to make it look the same direction, I would be holding it up. My main thing is to make sure that I'm always holding it in the same direction, and up is a totally different stitch to me, and technically it is a different stitch name, which, as I mentioned earlier in the stream, I don't remember what it's called. I just know that depending on whether you hold it here or here over the needle, it has a different name, which I only found that out recently, and I still think it's kind of silly. I don't even remember how I figured that out, or found that out, I mean. What's the time? Whoa! My goodness. Time flies when you are having fun, am I right? We will definitely wrap up after this little branch. Okay, I'm going to flip over and I'm going to carry the thread back down. Oh, that is twisty. There we go. Oh, I went too far. Whatever. It's all good in the hood. You guys are so quiet. I was expecting to be answering lots of questions, and hopefully that means you guys are all stitching. That would be great. Have I got it in the right spot still? Yeah, cool. So yeah, the main thing with stem stitch is to just take it slow. Make sure you hold the thread on the same direction for the entire stitch. You don't come up and down in the same spots. You're alternating it, and I suggest for this pattern, not for stem stitch as a whole, but for this pattern you do each little gap at about 1 centimeter apart. And yeah, just, it's not a race. Enjoy the process. Take your time. And if you pick the wrong colors for these, that's okay. That's not the end of the world if you were to do like the ones that I'm doing now in the same color as these ones. It was just to sort of differentiate it was mostly to differentiate the fact that these ones are a bit more dainty looking, so they called for 2 strands rather than 4 strands. What is happening right now? Oh, we got a knot. Okay. Well, that'll definitely throw a wrench in the works. Sorry, I just realized I'm doing it off camera. Come on, what is happening right now? And that is a decent knot. Okay. Alright, let's flip back over. Sorry about that. That was a good knot. Right at the ends too, of course. There we go. We'll just finagle it back over there so that it's got a nice little curve. Not happy about that little bit there, but we can fix that with the leaf that's going to go here. All right, let's tie that off. I definitely don't recommend you just do a knot on the back. You want to carry your thread at least a little bit. Okay, snip. Ta-da! We've got some branches. I hope everyone's as excited as I am. I enjoyed stitching this for the test stitch, so I've been hanging out to stitch it again. Not entirely sure what I'm going to do with 2 of these, but here's our before and what we're aiming for. It does look so much nicer when you don't have all the blue on it, but that's okay. We do need the blue to be able to know what we're doing. So that will be it for today. If you've got any questions about that, just feel free to hit me up in my Instagram DMs. That is probably the best way to get in touch with me. I'm having a lot of trouble with Facebook. It is setting all of my messages to be done already, and I am really mad about what's going on with it, because I just found out just before the stream that someone's been trying to reach out to me and I haven't heard from them because, yeah. Anyway, hit me up on Instagram if you've got any questions, even if you add a comment to what's going to be uploaded here. I will do my very best to answer any questions. Tomorrow, what should we do tomorrow? Tomorrow we are going to do these leaves, and depending on how long that takes, which I don't expect it's going to take very long, we will do some of the we'll do the colonial knots. Yeah, because a lot of people, and the other thing is, if you are not confident with doing colonial knot, I will show you how to do it. But if you're not comfortable, these can just be little French knots. I do personally like a colonial knot better. It is a more rounded knot than a French knot. It just, I don't know, it looks tighter and neater, and yeah. Anyway, I'll show you how, but if you find that they're a little bit difficult, then that's not a problem. So yeah, we'll do leaves and we'll do little yellow blips. And then after that, we'll, on Wednesday, we'll do these 5 leaves. And then on Thursday, we will, I don't know, we'll see how we go with those leaves, I think. I'm hoping to try and do like 1 stitch or 1 or 2 stitches a day. So tomorrow it'll be lazy daisies and colonial knots. But these bullion knots, they're going to take a long time, and these cast on stitches are going to also take a long time. So this will definitely run into next week, but I'm not sure entirely how long it will go for. So anyway, thank you so much for joining me. If you are catching this not live, thank you so much for watching through to the end. I will be uploading this to YouTube, hopefully with closed captions. I have a program that I tested and it worked. I'm hoping that it will work again for a very long video. Yeah. Anyway, thank you so much, everybody. Yeah, the YouTube will be up hopefully the end of the day. I can't upload it while my husband is working because it will interfere with his meetings and such. So yeah. Anyway, I think that's everything. Thank you so much, and I will see you tomorrow at 2 o'clock. Bye.